Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm excited. I'm so excited to talk about this video because it's one of my favorite things in this game. If you're using scout drones just to fly around randomly, you're wasting one of the strongest support tools in War Thunder. A good drone player, a single good drone player, can completely, and I mean completely, control the battlefield. They can feed information to their teammates, they can expose flankers, and rack up assists and score without even firing a single shot. Today, I'm going to show you how scout drones actually work, the biggest mistakes that players usually make, and how to use them properly to win games more consistently. This video is Scout Drones Explained. Here we go. So, a lot of players think that scout drones are really just tiny helicopters for spotting random enemies all over the map whenever they want. But that's not really their purpose. The real power of scout drones is battlefield awareness, total battlefield awareness. With a drone, you can spot enemy pushes early, you can watch flanking routes, you can mark camping tanks, you can help your teammates line up their shots, and you can safely gather information not only for yourself but for your team without risking your own tank. In higher tiers, even in the lower ones, even though you don't get drones too much, information wins games. The team that sees the enemy first usually wins the engagement. So, who should use scout drones? Well, obviously, scout drones are only available on light tanks at the higher battle ratings. And honestly, if you're playing light tanks aggressively without using your drone at all, you're missing half your usefulness to the team. In my opinion, all of your usefulness to the team. Your job isn't to always get kills. Your job is to create opportunities. A good recon player can completely carry a match through scouting and positioning alone. So some of the biggest mistakes I see players make is that they fly their drone way too high. Flying super high makes your drone easy to hear and easy to spot. You need to stay lower when possible and use terrain for cover. Now that will obviously take some time to learn how to maneuver your drone and to make sure your drone when in orbit isn't in the path of a giant building or a tree, but flying too high is never a good move unless you quickly peek up and then instantly go back down. Especially at the higher tiers where there's proxy rounds and SAMs, your drone will live no more than 30 seconds. Another mistake I see people make is that they sit still. If you hover in one spot for too long, enemies will either shoot the drone or figure out where your tank is hiding. You need to make sure you keep repositioning. It's really easy for players to see a drone driving in a circle so they can either shoot it or have a decent idea that someone is around that area if there's a drone circling it as if it's protecting its nest. Now, another mistake I see people do is using the drone at the wrong time. You need to not launch your drone in the middle of a push. Your tank is vulnerable while controlling the drone. You need to keep that in mind. You always need to find concealment first. Make sure you have protection either by cover, by teammate, by artillery, by something that can give you a moment, a pause, to fly your drone around and see what's going on around you. If you know somebody's pushing you, you do not need to turn your drone on and try to find them. If you hear at that point, you need to use your ears rather than your eyes. That way you can prepare for the push. You always need to be careful about being safe before going into your drone because you would think you'd have time to switch given it's only the press of a button, but sometimes it's too late to press that button. Now, another thing I see which is really common is people get tunnel vision. New players get obsessed with just one target. Your drone should monitor the entire battlefield, not just one tank, especially if the one tank is on the complete opposite side of the map and it's not really moving or a threat to your team. You can throw one scout at them, but you need to make sure you're paying attention to where your team is and where the enemy team is, because if the majority of the team is on one side of the map pushing and fighting each other, then you need to be scouting over there rather than one guy off in Narnia not doing anything for anybody. Now, how you can use the scout drones properly is actually really simple. Your first step is usually to find a safe position. Before launching your drone, you need to hide your tank. Use hard cover whenever possible. If someone finds your tank while you're flying the drone, you're basically free RP because you're not going to have time to react. So make sure you're hiding in a good spot. Now the next step is that you need to scan likely enemy routes. Especially when you first spawn, you need to not just fly randomly. Think about where the enemy usually moves on this map, on this objective, on this game mode. Main roads, sniper hills, flanking routes, capture points. Those are your priorities. Especially when you can see half your team going one way, it might be best to go ahead and fly a drone over there to mark where the majority of your team is to help them. And if you have some flankers going off to the side, then you can go over there and help them when you're done. That way they have a better chance of pulling off a flank for you. Another step is that you need to spot targets efficiently. You want consistent, constant information flow. Quickly identify targets, scout them, then move on. The more enemies your team sees, the stronger your team becomes. That doesn't only mean scout one guy here, okay, now look across the map, scout a guy here. If you see a flank, scout everyone in that flank as soon as possible. That way your team can see them all on the map. In a perfect world, the enemy team will be scouted for the entire game, no matter what, if you have multiple drones up. You also need to make sure in spawning your targets efficiently, if you and another player are in a drone, don't try to fight for scouts. Try to take quadrants of the map. You take the left side, they take the right side. You take forward, they take backward. You need to make sure you're putting your drones in positions that can efficiently complete the job for the team, not just yourself. Now, the next step is that you need to prioritize dangerous targets. You need to highlight and focus on snipers, flankers, missile carriers, tank destroyers, and enemies that are imminently threatening your teammates. Don't waste time spotting one isolated enemy in the corner of the map that is not a threat to your team. For example, if you see an AA in the spawn sitting in the back, with no missiles, really like, for example, a Gepard that is just sitting in their spawn, but you don't have any plane spawn, why waste a scout on him? He's not a threat to anyone and he's not moving, so just leave him alone. Now, if you see a mouse pushing up towards the A point and you're on advance to the Rhine and there's a bunch of light tanks around that cannot kill him, maybe you should scout him. Now, the next step is to make sure you're using the drone defensively. One of the best uses for drones is protecting your team from flanks. If your drone catches an enemy rotating early, you can stop an entire collapse before it happens. If you see one light tank with an autocannon flanking your team, it might be best to go ahead and scout him and call him out for your team to say, hey, there's a guy flanking out wide left. Stop him. Because if you don't, that probably will be the one thing that unravels your entire team. Now, the next section that we're going to talk about is advanced tips for using the drones. Tip 1 is that you need to listen for engine sounds. Your drone isn't just visual. You can often hear enemies before you see them. Engine sounds can reveal pushes through forests, cities, and hills. So make sure you're not only using your eyes when you're the eyes in the sky, but you're also using your ears, so you can be the eyes and ears of the sky. Now, the next tip, which is my favorite one, honestly, is to bait the enemy attention. Most players panic and go into shambles when they see drones. You can bait enemies into shooting at your drone and revealing their location, which works from anything from a light tank all the way up to an MBT or even an anti-air. You just have to know when to use it. For example, if there's an anti-air in their spawn and you see you have a plane up, tell them you're going to bait the anti-air. That way they're shooting at your drone and not the plane, which gives them a chance to fly closer and to blow them up. If there's a heavy tank hiding behind a rock, fly your drone at him, or an MBT, fly your drone at him. Make him shoot his MG up and start looking up and around, and then let your teammate push and flank him. Tip number 3 is that you do not need to stay in your drone view too long. The best recon players constantly are swapping between drone view, their tank view, and their map view. If you spend 5 straight minutes in drone view, eventually someone will find your tank. So even if you think you're safe, make sure that while you're flying your drone around, every few seconds, not every few seconds, really every 30 or so seconds, it's really depending on, you'll be able to see what the enemy team is looking like and you'll know how often you should check, but you need to make sure that you pop back into your tank and move forward, backwards, look around, see if you hear anything, because your drone may be far away and you won't hear it. So make sure that you're swapping between your tank and your drone and peeping the map every now and again just to make sure that you're safe. Because I'm telling you, it happens to me all the time where someone sneaks up on me and it scares the absolute crap out of me. Tip number 4 is that you need to coordinate with teammates. If you're in a squad, scout drones become probably the best thing in the game. They become insanely strong. You can guide teammates directly onto targets in real time, whether that be teammates that are on the ground or teammates that are in the air. It is so effective if you can have a mic and talk to your teammates and say, hey, someone here. Oh, they're not looking at you. They're looking behind. Push in front of them. They're looking to their right. Push from the left. so many things like that will literally turn a tide, and it's kind of like legally cheating in the game, because I can fly my drone around and see you and tell my teammate exactly what they need to do to kill you, and it works so well and it wins you so many games. And honestly, being a good scout player is kind of like being a battlefield cowboy. You got to know when to scout 'em, know when to ping 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You better scout for your team. While they're pushing up on the point, there'll be time enough for killing when the scouting's done. And honestly, that's basically the scout drone playstyle in one song. Your priority is information first. Kills come second always. At the end of the day, the best mindset that you need to be in if you are trying to be a top tier drone player, not just rank top tier like 12.7, but just be the best drone player that you can be, you need to know that scout drones are not about flashy gameplay. They're about information control. The best drone users think like recon players. They gather information, they protect their teammates, they control enemy movement, and they create advantages. If you master that mindset, your win rate will improve dramatically and you'll be the best AWACS this game has ever seen. So hopefully, now you understand how powerful scout drones really are in War Thunder and how to use them correctly and what not to do when using them as well. If this guide helped you out, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what other guides you want to see next. And remember, a good scout doesn't just spot enemies, they control the battlefield. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Be blessed. Peace.